the coldest day of the year, Makar Sankranti, and we'll discuss a little bit about that, but we'll have a kirtan first. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Shodanandana Bhaja Jana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare O Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare O Hare Rama Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo. Oh Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai. Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavika Girit Hari, Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Vrishabhananandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Surabhi Kund Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Saptama Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Gaudi Varantharacharya Ki Jai, Rasik Siromani Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai, Srila Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Shri Rup Sanatan, Shri Bhata Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal, Bhata Dasa Raghunath, Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai, Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda, Gauda Parsada Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Siga Hol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gaudamdvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritajit Janadvip Modamdvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Govardhan Dwadasavadmatmika Brajamandal Ki Jai, Radhakun Shamakun Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shrimati Punamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Yogamaya Ki Jai, Jai Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Chari Dham Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Chari Acharya Ki Jai, Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavaratino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Satipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Priya Sarupe Daita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swabila Sarupe Yam Prabhajantamana Petiam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Binidustam Sarvabhutam Ridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto our most beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandanamani Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate. And unto all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Avancha kalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnave namo namaha. So as I said previously, today is Makara Sankranti. It's like in the Western world, the winter solstice. It's when the sun um, goes towards Capricorn. It's coming out of Cancer. So it's moving from today. It'll start to, the days will get shorter. Today is the longest day. Today is the coldest day in the season. So many different states in India celebrated in different ways, but principally if we have the opportunity to take bath in a Ganga Devi is so supremely purifying. And this being an austere day for a bath, because the water's cold and outside is cold also, but there is mercy to be had. We understand when Ganga Devi comes crashing down on Lord Shiva's head and divides into four, and Bhagavat Maharaj has Bhagirati Maharaj, Bhagavat, Bhagirati has petitioned Ganga Devi to come to benedict his granduncles in Kapila Ashram. So Bhagirati goes charging ahead to show the path that Ganga Devi must run. But Ganga Devi is so powerful and so purifying. And if you don't have Ganga Devi near you, then you can always chant the Ganga mantra. Ganga cha Jamuna chaiva, Godavari Saraswati, Narmade Sindhu Kavari, Jalismin Sindarim Kuru. And we'll post this mantra on our WhatsApp if you don't already know it or have it. And it's understood actually that if you take a bath and you're chanting this mantra at that time, then that water will become like Ganga Devi. So it's very auspicious today to remember Ganga Devi and her benedictions and take mercy of her for our bhakti to increase wherever our bhakti is, whichever point our devotion has come to at this particular stage of our lives. Always the nature of Bhakti Devi is to increase. If it's not increasing, if there's no current, it's like a stagnant river. It can become polluted and contaminated, etc. So it has to be flowing. So that means that mood of um, astonishment, which we've spoken about previously, that achintya bhav, if that achintya bhav is not arising in the consciousness, This means that pride has eclipsed my higher level of thought, because in the state of pride, you think we think that we know the conclusion, etc. We know where we're going. We know everything, and of course, we do know so many things. But at the same time, knowledge entirely of transcendence and of our ever increasing relationship with the Lord is what is in our hearts constantly. How can we move forward daily, not even daily, but moment by moment? We want to pray for that strength to move towards our relationship with the Brijbasis, ultimately in Radhadasyam with Sri Radhika. So this is a very high goal, but my Gurudev gave us this opportunity. He gave us this goal. And Sachinandan Gaura Hari has given the same with his Swabhakti Shriyam. He's giving us this mood of Manjari Bhav to Sri Radhika. This is the benediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the process to um, become strengthened through that is our chanting. Of course, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra has the potency to purify the consciousness sufficiently to bring us to this, to consider this option, this possibility that Mahaprabhu has laid out. And in some lifetime, my Gurudev used to say constantly, this will not happen in one lifetime. But if you have an impression of this in this lifetime, that impression, that sanskar, will go into a future birth and perhaps manifest in a future birth. But that desire to be a maidservant of Sri Radhika, there is nothing beyond that conception. And that needs to be cultivated with a mood of remembering the Vrindavan pastimes, etc. Rupa Goswami, he said, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtano, Smritya Kramana Rasanim Isidyoja, Tishtem Braje Tanuragi, to be following the residents of Braj. And that ultimately means the Brajaramanis, the gopis of Vrindavan. So we are praying for that wisdom to be following constantly. Okay, so Makara Sankranti Ki Jai. So we'll come to a. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about, that Mother Ganga, etc. You can read Mother Ganga's pastimes in the 9th canto when Ansuman comes to petition Mother Ganga but doesn't succeed, and then his son Bhagirati, he succeeds. But there's a beautiful pastime to read today. So now we're into our Falshruti. All these um, festivals, etc., they all help in us understanding Jaiva-Dharma. They all are like strengthening. All of these thoughts, all of these um, ideas, like to bathe in Mother Ganga today, to chant this mantra, at least to remember her, will help us understand Jaiva-Dharma. So we're starting from the first verse of the Falshruti. Pritivitayata kata dharma namachale, Bhagavata kaya saha paripurna chale.
As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, second shloka, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive.
So this is a big step to drop our nimitic conditioning, where I believe everything that the material world is telling me. What is the material world telling us? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What are the governments all telling us? Economic development is the principle. Try to get rich and enjoy your senses. This is asuric. We are in the midst of Kali Yuga, deepening more all the time. We can take no strength from the guidance of governments as far as our spiritual life is concerned. And they all is nimitic, and the whole populace is influenced by this. But the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishne swadharmopajite dharma janati saha kalona satrisham isha purana kotanodita. This Shrimad Bhagavatam manifested when Krishna left this world, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Men who have lost their vision shall get light from this brilliant Purana. So this is the Bhagavatam, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is drawing our remembrance of this in his first verse of the Falshruti. When we have remembrances of, say, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc., if we've studied anything of these granthas, then it'll begin a process of thought where we'll be purified by these granthas. These shastras are to purify our material existence, and no doubt the influence of even just remembering Srimad Bhagavatam. But in this instance, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is highlighting that all the dharmas are deceptive, and he's referencing this dharma projita kaitava tra parama nirmatsaranam shatam, this second verse where it's saying in the Bhagavatam, this is not a cheating process. Why? There's 5 principles of appreciating the Bhagavatam. You can appreciate the Bhagavatam as an impersonalist even. You can focus on the power of Brahm, of the Brahman, and then you can proceed to an appreciation of Krishna's or Narayan's personality. And then you can start to appreciate the rasa. This is the third explanation Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur describes. And then after the rasic content of the Bhagavatam, you can fully focus on Radha and Krishna and their meeting and separation, etc. And then the fifth focus, the most important focus, is Bhakti Devi herself, devotion for the jiva towards Krishna. That can be gifted by the abundant, compassionate mood of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should be responsible human beings and take shelter of these shastras that have been gifted to us by our acharyas, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, for the Western devotees in particular, translated all of these and opened the door for the whole Western world to actually enter the path of transcendence. And then so many commentaries are there. Also, Jiva Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sridhar Swami, Jiva Goswami, all these commentaries are there also for us to dig deeper and deeper because it's never um, static. It's always ecstatic. It has to be moving. That mood of astonishment that I was just speaking about, that's bhakti. That's the current of bhakti. If that's not arising and if everything has become dry, then we have to cry to have mercy somehow. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. This is what we need to help us move. Chaladama
Shaladharma
Chadikara
Chadikara
Satya
Satya Dharma
Dharmimati
Mati
Chaturvagya
Chaturvagatya Nitya
Prema
Prema
Gati.
Gati. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and observe his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life dharma, artha, kama, moksha and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of Nitya
So
Prem.
we've just seen this beautifully opened out in the 6th chapter that we've just completed. These Brahman Pandits are entrenched in Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and they've met a pure Vaishnava, and he's enlightening them that their traditional goals are nimitic, very clearly, step by step by step. That was in the 6th chapter, and it was the same in the 5th chapter, and the 4th chapter, and the 3rd chapter, and the 2nd. Every single chapter, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is dismantling this misconception of nimitic dharma being a principal focus and highlighting nitya dharma every single chapter. And then he's delineating within this what is karma yoga, what is gyan yoga, and what is bhakti yoga. He's showing the yoga ladder very clearly. He's demonstrating what is nitya dharma. So everything else, like the 3rd chapter, is titled Nimitic Dharma Must Be Relinquished. So this is the principal teaching that these material dharma, these material, what do you say, material uh, considerations or material priorities that we put in our lives, we should know are all absolutely temporary. All of us can consider what are the material highlights I'm putting into my life. They're not Nitya, Nitya Dharma or Nitya Prem. They're not focusing there. At least to be in knowledge of this and then continue whatever we're doing. But at least don't be ignorant. Clear the ignorance. Amitvam
Ame
sabrame
nija
nija
jada
jada buddhi
buddhi,
nirvishesha
nirvishesha
brahma
brahma gyani
jnani
nahi
nahi
chita
chita
shuddhi.
shuddhi.
Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh
If we
brahmagyan.
identify ourselves with matter, we are going to believe in the general mood of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And if we come out of that, we will be um, still the enemy of this nirvishesh impersonal Brahm will be there. Yes, Shantaras, I will find relief in that world of nirvishesh Brahm. That's what nirvishesh Brahm means. It means a place of shanti, place of peacefulness, but there's no relationship there. There's no object within that Brahmand except myself. So there's no relationship. Ivichrata-hina hale nirvishesha hoy, kala samatulya seya aprakrita nai.
The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus, he rejects Sri Bhagavan's Vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and Leela. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of Nirvishesha Brahm.
If we don't come into the subject of Lila, it's a great tragedy. Many devotees, when they've been practicing perhaps sometimes for 10, 20, even 30, 40 years, and they haven't been inspired into the Rasa Tattva section or the Lila aspect of Krishna's pastimes, then they're just left with some philosophy, which is like Vaidhi Bhakti and the rules and regulations and so on. And if they don't have that vision of the Leela, if they don't have an appreciation, a comprehension of what is Rasa Tattva, their intellect will become stagnant. They'll have nowhere else to play because they will have gone over all of these different highlights of Vaidhi Bhakti for so many years. And then it just becomes a little stale. There's no juice in it, but the juice is in the rasa. This is where the juice is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the rasa, particularly, of course, the 10th canto. But this rasa, we have to consider where is it? How can I connect with that rasa? Through hearing about the Leelas of Radha and Krishna. This is where, and through the teachings of Rupa Goswami directly. I've said so many times it's Vidagdha Madhav, Lalit Madhav, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjvala Nilmani. Unless we touch these books, we will just remain like in the law books of Manu, so to speak, into the basic teachings of what is material dharma. We need to be inspired to go further than that. Otherwise, there's going to be no juice. Kanda
Khandagyana
gyane hoye
he
dharma
dharma
achesa
achesa
nischaya,
nischaya, prakrita
prakriti
haile
hoyle
kabu
hebhuta
aprakrita.
prakratanaya.
Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita and should never be given credence as aprakrita dharma.
Because it's materialistic if we go any other way other than that transcendental path. It's it's hurting the Lord. Okay, we're coming to big drum roll, 7th chapter. Okay, so yes, chapter 6 was astonishing chapter, completely astonishing. Chapter 7 is a little bit less intense. It's like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is reeling us along quite quickly. The same truths are here in the 7th chapter, but it's a little more subdued. It's not quite as intense in one sense. So, chapter 7, entitled Nitya Dharma and Material Existence. Over the ages, countless goldsmiths had lived in the ancient mercantile town of Saptagram on the bank of the Saraswati River. By Sri Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, Since the time of Datta, these merchants had become addicted to Harinam Sankirtan. These merchants, we've said before, were mercantile people, they were goldsmiths. So they were not always popular. And because they had a lot of money and other people wanted that money, etc., so they would lend money and so on like that. And there's a whole history of how they were ostracized by one king. Anyway, the whole township became somewhat condemned, so to speak, because of their dealings in gold and so on. But Nityananda Prabhu, because he had one disciple, Datta, was in that um, uh, township of Saptagram, and he came and he stayed with him, and he purified the whole of that township of Saptagram, and they absolutely adored Nityananda. Nityananda didn't see anyone in any caste or creed like that. So he didn't see any of the history that they were carrying, in a sense, that so many people in Bengal had rejected them. And Nityananda, he gave them his full support. Particularly, of course, as it's saying here, he gave them Harinam Sankirtan, which they drank deeply. So this was the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. One of them, however, was a very miserly person named Chandidas, who used to abstain from Hari Kirtan with the townspeople because he was afraid of having to spend money for sponsoring festivals. Chandidas had managed to accumulate a good deal of wealth through stingy dealings. His wife Damayanti had adopted the same mood and did not extend even the least hospitality to Vaishnavas or other guests. This merchant couple, in their youth, had given birth to 4 sons and 2 daughters. Their daughters had both married, and a vast inheritance was reserved for their sons. If saintly people never visit a house, the children in it are less likely to become kind and compassionate. As the sons, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur is always dropping in sadhu sangha in every single opportunity. As the sons grew up, they became increasingly selfish and began to wish that their parents would die so they could have their inheritance. The merchant couple became extremely unhappy. One by one, the sons were married. As their wives grew older, they imbibed their husbands' natures and also began to wish that their parents in law would die. It's very common in society, especially in the Western world, everywhere, the whole world. We see that father and mother have acquired wealth through their labors in this life, and the children, etc. If they don't have a loving relationship, then they're just waiting for their parents to die, or they arrange something. One by one, the sons were married. As their wives grew older, they imbibed their husbands' natures and also began to wish that their parents in law would die. After some time, the sons became proficient in business and began to oversee the buying and selling very expertly. Dividing up most of their father's wealth, they set up their own businesses. One day, Chandidas called everyone to his side and said, "Listen, I have lived a frugal existence since childhood, and as a result, I have managed to set aside a great fortune for all of you. I have never eaten fine food or dressed in luxurious clothes, and your mother has also lived in a similar manner. It is your duty to care for us now that we are growing old, but we have become increasingly distressed. We have increasing sorry, we have become increasingly distressed recently because we have begun to feel that you are neglecting us. I still have some hidden wealth, and I will give it to whichever of my sons will be good enough to take care of us." So he's trying to bribe his sons. There's no love. It's a very typical strained family relationship where because there was no sadhu sangha, there was no hari kirtan, there was no mode of goodness flowing through the household. Then this is the result. Chandidas's sons and daughters-in-law heard his words silently, and then went off to a separate place to conspire among themselves. They concluded, "It will be best to send mother and father away, and then take possession of their hidden wealth, and divide it amongst ourselves. For there is really no telling to whom the old man will give it to unjustly." So they're all thinking, they're crooked,
Mm.
because no sadhusanga, because no harinam. All of them were sure that the wealth was buried in their father's bedroom. One morning at dawn, Chandidas's eldest son, Harichanda, Harishchan, Harishcharan, Haricharan, went to his father and with feigned humility said, "Dear father, you and mother should go and take darshan of Sri Navadvip Dham at least once, so that your human life will become successful. I have heard that no other holy place is as beneficial in this age of Kali as Sri Navadvip Dham. It will not be troublesome or expensive for you to go there, and if you are unable to walk, we can have a boat to take you upstream for a nominal fee. There is also a Vaishnavi who would be happy to accompany you there." When Chandidas informed Damayanti about their son's proposal, she became very happy. Both of them concluded, "Our children have become thoughtful and courteous since our talk that day. We are strong enough to walk, so let us make the pilgrimage to Sridham Navadvip via Kalna and Shantipur." Having selected an auspicious day, the couple set out on their pilgrimage, taking the Vaishnavi with them. The next day, after walking a good distance, they arrived at Ambika Kalna. There they cooked for themselves in a shop and sat down to eat. While they were taking their meal, a resident of Saptagram who knew them approached them and informed them, "Your sons have broken the lock of your room and have taken all your possessions. They will not allow you to re enter the house. They have also found your hidden wealth and have divided it amongst themselves." It's so dramatic, but it can happen. This is a pastime, this is a description that will appeal to many because this is like a truthful um uh
It's
s-
happening.
huh
It is happening these days
yes, it is happening these
very
days.
widely.
Yes. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's including this story to bring us up to reality of the world. It's not just a book of scripture, so to speak, but it's relevant. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was
Absolutely.
completely in the moment, in the present moment. His mission was to bring these truths to the general populace. Otherwise, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission would be washed away. When Chandidas and Damayanti received this news, they were stricken with grief over the loss of their wealth. They were unable to eat a single morsel and spent the entire day crying incessant tears. These are big changes. Their whole life suddenly swept. It's like death, right? After some time, the Vaishnavi attendant tried to console them, saying, "Don't be attached to your home. Come, you can take up the life of a Vaishnava ascetic. Build a simple ashram where Vaishnavas can gather and live. The children for whom you have sacrificed everything have become your enemies, so there is no need to return home. Let us go to Navadvip and remain there. You can maintain yourselves by accepting alms. That will be a much better life." Like Krishna is shining the light within their lives. Will they take it? When Damayanti and Chandidas thought of the behavior of their sons and daughters in law, they said again and again, "It would be better for us to die than to return home." In the end, they stayed for a few days in the home of a Vaishnava in the village of Ambika, after which they went to Shantipur and finally arrived in Sri Navadvip Dham. They stayed in Sri Mayapur for a few days with a merchant relative and began to tour the 7 localities of Navadvip on the bank of the Ganga, as well as the 7 localities of Kulyagram on the other side of the river. After a few days, however, their attachment for their sons and daughters resurfaced. Understand, we're going to be witnessing the power of the Dham on the consciousness of these two people. It's not just any old place where they've come to. They've come to the holiest place on earth. And we're going to see how it's going to influence their consciousnesses. Chandidas said to his wife, "Come, let us return home to Saptagram. After all, they are our sons, aren't they? Won't they show us even a little affection?" Their Vaishnavi attendant said emphatically, "Have you no dignity? This time they will take your life." So they are so fortunate to have the sadhu sangha of this Vaishnavi. Without this Vaishnavi, heaven knows where they would have gone. When the old couple heard this, they saw the truth in her words and became apprehensive. This is the beginning of their devotion. This is the beginning of their sadhu sangha. Like we see that Sannyasi Thakur in the beginning saw that Vaishnava dancing. Each time Bhaktivinoda Thakur will highlight this connection with their devotional prosperity. "O respected Vaishnavi," they said, "you may return to your own place. We have enough discrimination now. We will maintain our existence by begging." Approach the Vaishnavi attendant left, and the merchant couple, having now given up all hope of returning to their former home in Saptagram, began to build a new home in the area of Kulyagram, where Chakori Chattopadhyaya had lived. Taking contributions and instructions from many gracious and well mannered people, they built a cottage and began to live there permanently. Kulyagram is known as the holy place where offenses are eradicated, and the long standing belief was that all of one's previous offenses would be dispelled if one lived there. This is like near the Devananda Gaudiya Math in Koladweep. This is this place, Aparad Manjanbat, where all offenses are. And who else that? Uh, Gopal Chapala also was delivered by Mahaprabhu here, but particularly Devananda was delivered by the mercy of Vakreshwar Pandit and Mahaprabhu. So this is where we're talking about here. Now, if we what? Ah, one day Chandidas said, "O Mother of Hari, don't speak about our children anymore. Don't even think of them. We took birth in a merchant family because of our previous offenses and because of many previous offenses. And due to our defective birth, we became misers and never rendered any service to guests or to Vaishnavas. Now, if we obtain any wealth here, we will certainly use it to serve guests, so that we may attain auspiciousness in our next life. I have been thinking of opening a grocery shop. I will beg some money from a few gentlemen and begin this work." So we're seeing the practical process, how how the power of the Dham, what do we say, Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vas, and Shradaya Sevaya, these five principles of bhakti. And we see Sadhu Sangha is working, Nam Kirtan is in the atmosphere, Bhagavat Shravan will come in, we will see. Chandidas had previously been educated, and now, oh, I missed a bit. Within a short time, Chandidas opened a small store and managed to make some profit every day. The couple began to serve one guest daily, in addition to feeding themselves, and thus their life passed much more pleasantly than before. Chandidas had previously been educated, and now he sat in his shop and read Gunaraj Khan's Sri Krishna Vijay whenever he found time. He ran his shop honestly and served guests hospitably. 5 or 6 months passed in this manner, and when the people of Kulia came to know of Chandidas's previous history, they began to develop faith in him. In this village lived a Grihastha Brahmin named Yadav Das, who lectured every day on Chaitanya Mangal. Chandidas occasionally went to hear those lectures, and when he and Damayanti saw that Yadav Das and his wife were always engaged in serving the Vaishnavas, they also became inspired to do the same. So the example of the Grihasta couple, Yadava Das and his wife. It's very important to always remember wherever we're living to live an exemplary life. If we're claiming to be Vaishnavas, if our desire is to be a Vaishnava, we should live an exemplary life to inspire citizens towards Shuddhadam, what is pure, the pure goodness, first of all, and then coming to Vishuddha, the transcendental plane. Without that cultivation first, how can we go forward? Chandidas inquired from Yadav Das, what is this material existence? Well, that's a great question. Yadav Das said, many learned Vaishnavas live on the eastern bank of the Bhagirathi in Sri Godrama. Come, let us go there and inquire from them. I also go there from time to time and receive many instructions. At present, the Vaishnava scholars of Sri Godram are more expert than the Brahmana scholars in the conclusions of the Shastras. Some days ago, Sri Vaishnava Das Babaji defeated the Brahman pundits in the area in a debate. A deep question like yours can be resolved most satisfactorily there. Yadav Das and Chandidas prepared to cross the Ganga in the afternoon. Damayanti now regularly served pure Vaishnavas, and the miserliness in her heart had become negligible. I will go with you to Sri Gautam, she said. The Vaishnavas there are not grihastas, said Yadavadas. They have adopted a life of strict renunciation and are detached from all relations with women. I am concerned that if you come along with us, they will be displeased. So the Muslim was allowed, but the women are not allowed. So there is this. Why? Because the women will attract the men to another, um, yes, another level, and they will. It's the chemistry between male and female that will erupt. With a Muslim male, that is vacant. It's just the philosophy needs to be um, worked out. But on the deep level of the genders mixing, it's not conducive for bhakti. Um, where are we? The Vaishnavas there are not grihastas, said Yadav Das. They have adopted a life of strict renunciation and are detached from all relations with women. I am concerned that if you come along with us, they will be displeased. Damayanti replied, I will offer Dandavat Pranam to them from a distance, and I will not enter their grove. I am an old lady. They will never become angry with me. So this is true. Yadavadas agreed, but cautioned, it is not the custom for ladies to go there. Anyway, we can take you there and there to sit in a nearby place, and we will bring you back with us when we return. I'm sure there could be a lot of discussion on this point, but I'm not going to go in there because we just have to use our um, intelligence to appreciate the dynamics of this situation. By late afternoon, the three of them crossed the Ganga and reached Pradumna Kunj. Damayanti offered prostrated Dandavat pranams at the door of the Kunj and sat nearby under an old banyan tree. Yadav Das and Chandidas entered the Kunj and with great devotion offered Dandavat pranams to the assembly of Vaishnavas, who were seated in the Malati Madhavi bower. Paramahamsa Babaji was seated in the midst of the assembly, surrounded by Sri Vaishnavadas, Lahari Mahashai, Anantadas Babaji, and many others. Chandidas sat close to Yadav Das. Anantadas Babaji looked at Yadav Das and asked, who is this new man? Yadav Das narrated the whole story of Chandidas. Anantadas Babaji smiled and said, yes, that is what is known as material existence. One who knows material existence is actually wise, and those who fall into the cycle of material existence are pitiable. So we should just be in knowledge of what is um, material existence, and then we can come detached from it. Chandidas's mind was gradually becoming purified. And when one performs Nitya Sukriti, such as hosting Vaishnavas and reading and hearing Vaishnava Shastras, he certainly attains auspiciousness and very easily develops Shraddha in Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion. When he heard Sri Anantadas Babaji's words, Chandidas said with a softened heart, "My humble prayer is that you will be merciful to me and clearly explain what is this material existence." So we should be attentive and hear this explanation, even if we think we understand everything. Paramahamsa Babaji said, Sri Anantadas Babaji Mahashai is suitably qualified to answer a question of such gravity. Today we will all listen to his instructions. Oh, I missed a paragraph out. Anantadas Babaji said, "Your question is very deep, and I desire that Sri Paramahamsa Babaji Mahashai or Sri Vaishnavadas Babaji Mahashai should answer it." Paramahamsa Babaji said, Sri Anantadas Babaji Mahashai is suitably qualified to answer a question of such gravity. Today we will all listen to his instructions. The devotees, they love to hear when another devotee is preaching to some newer people or another person or enlightening, giving a lecture. Always any opportunity to hear Hari Katha by any level of person is enlivening. Like in the assembly of Shukadev and Parikshit, Vyasadeva was there. So many great, Narad was there. So many great personalities were there in rapt attention listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not that they thought that they knew everything. They were actually enlivened by the current of topics of Harikatha. Anantadas said, "When I receive your order, I must certainly say whatever I know. I shall begin by remembering the lotus feet of my Gurudev, Sri Pradumna Brahmachari, a confidential associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." This is beautiful historic reference for us. Pradumna Brahmachari is in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's the personality who, in his mystic vision, created a pathway for Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan. And then it stopped, it was checked, and he couldn't go any further. And he told all the devotees he won't go to Vrindavan. And it was a fact. So he's a very mystical person, gifted, Pradumna Brahmachari. The jivas exist in two states, the liberated state, Mukta Dasha, and the state of material bondage, Samsara Buddha Dash. Those jivas who are pure bhaktas of Sri Krishna and who have never been bound by Maya and who were liberated from material existence by the mercy of Krishna are known as Mukta Jivas. The liberated state of existence is known as Mukta Dasha. The Bada Jivas, on the other hand, are those who are oblivious to Sri Krishna and have fallen into the clutches of Maya since time without beginning. Their conditioned state of existence is known as Samsara Bada Dasha. The Jivas who are liberated from Maya are Chinmoy, fully spiritual, and their very life is service to Krishna, Krishna Dasya. They do not reside in this material world, but in one of the pure spiritual worlds, such as Golok, Vaikuntha, or Vrindavan. There are innumerable jivas who are liberated from Maya. So he's talking about the direct Ragatmika gun, not Ragatmika, just liberated, because we can't say those souls of Vaikuntha are Ragatmika. Their greed for their hunger for relationship with Krishna is not there in Vaikuntha. They are in a mood of dasya bhav at maximum, or shanta ras. Maybe some have a little bit friendship, but that friendship is very aishwarya. So the spontaneous rag mood is not there in Vaikuntha. The jivas who are bound, but still it's the spiritual world where the four types of liberation, Sharsti, Salokya, Mipya, Sarupya, are there. It's a liberated place. The jivas who are bound by Maya are also innumerable due to their Krishna vimukata. That means turning away from Krishna. defect of alienation from Krishna. Krishna's shadow potency, known as Chaya Shakti or Maya, binds the jiva with her three stranded ropes, consisting of the three qualities of material nature, namely Sattvagun, goodness, Rajagun, passion, and Tamagun, ignorance. The conditioned souls appear in a variety of states of existence according to the influence of the various gradations of these gunas. If we have this knowledge, we can take the temperature of our own existence and consider how much in goodness I am, how much in passion I am, how much in ignorance I am. It's described that one in goodness is able to assimilate pure knowledge, one in passion is only working in this world and cannot begin that path of assimilating transcendental teachings. One in Tamagun is full of ignorance and suffers greatly because of that ignorance. Just consider the varieties in the jiva's bodies, moods, appearance, nature, living conditions, and movements. So we see around us, all, even though there's millions of people around us, they're all in different stages of consciousness, covered by predominantly either passion or ignorance, and some few by goodness. But there's goodness, and then there's transcendental goodness or pure goodness. When the jiva enters material existence, he takes on a new type of egoism. Now, this next part is very beautiful. When the jiva enters material existence, he takes on a new type of egoism. In the pure state of existence, the jiva has the egoism of being a servant of Krishna. But in the conditioned state, many different types of egoism arise, making the living entity think, I am a human being, I am a devata, I am an animal, I am a king, I am a brahmana, I am an outcast, I am diseased, I am hungry, I am dishonored, I am charitable, I am a husband, I am a wife, I am a father, I am a son, I am an enemy, I am a friend, I am a scholar, I am handsome, I am wealthy, I am poor, I am happy, I am sad, I am strong, and I am weak. These attitudes are known as ahankta, which literally means the sense of I-ness or false egoism. We have this printed out beautifully. I'll post it on our WhatsApp group and you can see more um, at length this. Besides this ahankta, another function known as mamata, possessiveness, or the sense of myness, enters the nature of the jiva. This is exemplified in attitudes such as, this is my house, these are my possessions, this is my wealth, this is my body, these are my children, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my father, this is my mother, this is my caste, this is my race, this is my strength, this is my beauty, this is my quality, this is my learning, this is my renunciation, this is my knowledge, this is my wisdom, this is my work, this is my property, and these are my servants and dependents. The colossal affair that brings the conceptions of I and mine into play is known as samsara, material existence. So that is such a powerful couple of paragraphs there that we can really deeply um, appreciate and read many times. So I'll send this around. I think we'll stop there because that's a good place to stop. And then he carries on. I'll just hear this next question. Yadav Das says, the conceptions of I and mine are active in the conditioned state, but do they exist in the liberated state? Okay, we'll discuss that tomorrow. So this is very simple, straightforward philosophy for Chandidas and Damayanti to appreciate. Because understand that Damayanti, even though she's in a woman's body, is going to hear all of these teachings from her husband. So there's no loss for her. She's in the proximity, she's getting purified, and she will receive these teachings, no doubt, from Chandidas and Yadav as they go back. So this is very beautiful consideration. Okay. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jaiva-Dharma ki jai. Shri Gurudev ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo Hari Goda Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Goda Hari Bol Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Jaiva-Dharma ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Vaishnavas ki jai, Hari Hari Bol, Vansha Kalpatarupyascha, Kripa Sindhabheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.